Hello and welcome to the Vanguard of Light. So we're going to talk today about what to do. You start to move forward and then you hit a wall, and that totally can happen. There's a couple things, kind of like two big things that cause that. One of them is not so much that like you're stopped, like you hit a wall and you stop doing stuff. This is more of like you're just going crazy, going gangbusters, and it might feel like things are getting overly intense. You're feeling like you're getting more reactive. It feels like you're not making progress. That, if you're doing a lot of warp gates, that kind of just means you need to back off a little bit. Most likely, that means you have kind of made that analogy in a previous video, if you've seen it or not, where if you have a funnel, right? And it's the water that gets through the funnel is like the clearing. So if you pour water into that funnel and then overflow the funnel, you're not increasing the amount of water that gets through the funnel. You're just kind of making a mess. And that could be one thing that you're experiencing if you're like really doing the clear, like you're just going after the clearings, going, kind of doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up. I've done it. You don't necessarily need to do that. Like I said, you don't need to overfill the funnel. It doesn't make the clearings happen any faster. Not to mention, you are going at a really, really fast pace. This is your unconscious mind that is doing energy work at an extremely fast pace. I mean, it's faster pace than if you were working one-on-one with somebody and they're doing clearings for you 12 hours a day and they're really powerful. No, your unconscious mind can go faster than that. So realize you could just be feeling that overflow of the funnel. You just need to back off a little bit. Like just take a little bit, take a day. Just like let some of this stuff integrate, let your body, kind of take it all in, let your mind take it in and see if that helps. Like see if all of a sudden like you're just like, oh wow. And you probably get just the thought of backing off. Don't worry, your issues and the challenges that you're going for are getting handled, right? But just the thought of like, hey, I'm gonna back off, and you kind of get that ease of like, oh, relax, and yeah, that's an overtraining that's happening to where it's not so much, you're not causing any damage. It's overflowing to where like the clearing is clearing, but it's just getting put back in because it can't get processed and pushed away. So it just causes a lot of uncomfort for you, and you can back off and still be going at the exact same speed that you're going before you slow down a little bit. That's one thing, is like, you just back off for a day. Could just be a little build up, that's fine. Back off for a day, see how you feel, get back into it, and all of a sudden it starts turning back on. Boom, that was it. Now the other one, I'll tell you a story about this one, because this one, and I want you to really get it, that's why I'm gonna do this extra story on it, because it got me, and I'm doing clearings all the time, making warp gates, and when I'm doing them, I kind of don't have the benefit of it all built out and kind of mapped out of like, hey, it works this way, this is other piece you need to add it. I kind of go in blind, right? And I give them a butt kicked a bunch. That's just part for the course, because I want to map it out so you guys don't have that experience. So I'm like clearing a lot. I'm always exploring, saying, oh, what does that do? What does this do? How much can I do it? Okay, what is too much? When does it overflow? So I'm always doing that. So anyways, I'm in just back history of that. I'm getting to a place where, and then different locations are different places, right? There's a lot of different energy stuff depending on what location you're in. You don't have to worry about that. The warp gates handle that. But when you don't have a warp gate like normally I'm going through, it does the fact. But I'm in a place, it's a great place, the energy's good, I'm with my friend, but things are funky. It's like I'm so blessed that things are rarely funky now, or funky for a long time, because I have warp gates, have clearings, I dive into the energy, so it's such a blessing, right? It's not like it's a long-term thing, but it's like, man, things are funky, and like things were not working. I'm like running into like weird traffic, or stuff's not like this. All this stuff is like kind of out of balance. Like I know something's off. I'm like, what is going on? What's off, right? And I'm thinking like, oh man, I need to go into some deep stuff. This is a big new, a big monster issue. I haven't seen it before. I've got to get in there, get after it. I'm gearing myself up because I'm also feeling kind of like the weight of this funky energy, right? And like it's really kind of intense, and my friend's feeling it, and we're like, what's the deal? And it's intense. So But it's really kind of interesting with that, because we're kind of like thinking like, okay, what do I got to do? Okay, how do I go really, really deep? But then I think it was my friend even mentioned, it's like, so we're gonna go deep, but I don't know if she said something about get back to the basics. And I was like, wait a second, get back to the basics. And so the basics, like the core thing, is like when I hear back to the basics, it's like I hear safety. Oh, deal with safety. And I was like, okay, I've been doing major safety stuff, right? And way down the rabbit hole down, I'm like, wait, safe to be safe, right? Bread and butter, safe to be safe to mom, safe to be safe to dad, safe to not be safe to not, simple. Oh my gosh. I didn't even get to safe to feel safe, just safe to be safe. The first two clearings that you will come through on this, game changer for my friend too. All of a sudden, everything cleared out. All the big dark, whatever, this was the, boom. It was initially just bumping up to safe to be safe. So that is one thing. If you feel like you're hitting a wall, come back to safe to be safe and safe to feel safe to mom and dad. Yeah, I know you've done it before. I've done it tons and tons of times, but that is such a core one of like, that opens it up for you. And there's a deeper level, keep on deeper level. But if all of a sudden you bump to a level where it's like, it's just not safe to be safe, everything shuts down. It's really hard to push forward. You can, but it's really hard to push forward past that, because inherently your unconscious is like, no. Anything that we do that's gonna work, like that's gonna bring me more love, more worth, more feelings of like I matter, anything like reversing any of those, I guess, inversions, because you're inherently matter, you're inherently worthy, and you're inherently loved. Anything that gets closer to those truths is gonna be equaling to death. If the safe to be safe is bumping up against, if that program is happening, that's why we start there. That's why it's like one of the most important things to get first, is because that's what's going to shut it all down if that's not cleared out. And yes, you've cleared it out. You probably already felt the benefits of that and felt like, wow, things are opening up. So if you hit a wall, which is quite possible, it just means you need to run back, hit those again. You came to a new, it's a great thing to happen. It's amazing that happened. It means you really up leveled to a whole new level, a whole new, opening of your being. But it could be you're bumping up that, like you just feel like you're hitting a wall. And if you feel like you're not doing the clearings, like you're backing off, and let me go through. It's getting pretty snowy in here, and I don't want all the snow to fall on the camera. But yeah, that will be the one. If you're hitting a wall to where it's not like you're doing a ton of clearings, but you're kind of like hesitant, you like don't want to do clearings, they don't feel right, because they don't take long to do, but you're like, not even a clearing, kicking off the warp gates. If you run into that, most likely safe to be safe. You'll be surprised when it happens, because it'll be the last thing you think. You're like, no, I got that. I've done it a ton of times. I got that, no problem. It was amazing, because it happened for me and my friend. We cleared safe to be safe. It was just a game changer. All of a sudden, all the stuff we felt like we were bumping up against just disappeared, because it's simply the unconscious mind saying like, hey, I cannot move forward because I've got this core dangerous death program. Safe to be safe, just need to clear it. So you do safe to be safe, clear that out, you probably feel a lot better. And then safe to feel safe, mom and dad. You can just do mom and dad, see if that works. Now that kind of clears it, great. And you're back heading in it, you're doing your work gate, just keep on program. If it feels like it takes a little bit more, and it's not like an overtraining situation where you're doing a bunch of warp gates, but it doesn't feel like you're moving forward, it's where you're like I don't want to do warp gates. Somehow I forget, it's too hard or whatever. Most like safe to be safe, safe to feel safe. And then a deeper level, if you need to, is doing that to your grandparents on your mother's side and grandparents on your father's side. And it's a bread and butter. If you run into anything where you feel like you're hitting a wall or whichever, come back to those two, because they are really a game changer. They really open it up, and they're likely to come back. Like anytime you're about to approach a new big level where your unconscious is like, okay, if you go past this, it's a game changer and it's been walled off. Most likely it's those two clearings, safe to be safe, safe to feel safe. That's why it opens it up when you start with them. And that's why it will keep continuing to have you go forward if you clear those two. So hopefully that helps. Something to do if you're hitting a wall. And until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.